Well, opening the season on the disabled list. Tom Herr at second base will bat second. Bon Hayes, the first baseman, hitting third. Mike Schmidt will be at third base. He'll bat fourth. Chris James, the left fielder, hitting fifth. Ron Jones in right field batting sixth. Dickie Thon at shortstop will hit seventh. Aaron Dalton doing the catching today. He'll bat eighth, and batting ninth and pitching, Floyd Yeomans. Yeomans coming off a year in which he spent a 60-day suspension from the commissioner's office while pitching for Montreal. He was 3-6 overall with a 3.21 earned run mark.
Reach back and get a little extra.
Don Zimmer, the Chicago Cubs manager, is Coach Joe Altobelli behind him, and Nick Leyva, the youngest manager in the National League since 1965, when Dave Bristol managed the Braves at the age of 33. Leyva's 35 years young. And Bob Dernier will lead off for the Phillies. Phillies with their new road uniforms, no longer the blue, the light blue, but the gray now. The maroon trim, good-looking unis. Bobby D hit .289 last year. And he pokes the first pitch for a base hit to right field. Dernier, a leadoff base runner on the first pitch, served up by Sutcliffe.
Nice way to start a season.
Really?
One pitch, base hit.
That'll bring on Tom Herr, who is celebrating his 33rd birthday tonight. Ball and no strikes to Dernier. Vance Law plays him shallow at third base up on the infield grass. Dernier's a good bunter. Gets it up into the air to left field. Mitch Webster down with his sunglasses right in front of the warning track, pulls it down. Dernier is out, one down. I'll bring on Tom Herr, lead off for the Phillies. Dernier went 2 for 5 on the opening. Hit .289 last year. And we're set for night baseball here at Wrigley Field. Ball and no strikes to Dernier. Thanks to the nice telegram from the unofficial mayor of South Philadelphia, our buddy Mike Gaffredo, which is the Phillies a good 89. 1 ball and 1 strike to Dernier.
You can find out the best seat locations while you wait. Then have your tickets mailed or held for pickup, whichever you prefer. Call 215-463-1000. The Cardinals started off Friday night. They'll be in for a 3-game weekend series. Then the Expos April 10, 11, and 12. And these Cubbies April 14, 15, and 16. The phone line 215-463-1000. 10-4 Phillies. Phil's batting here in the 6th inning as Dernier leads it off. Bobby D with a 2-run single his last trip. Bob is 1 for 3 with 2 driven in and 2 scored. He's facing Pat Perry for the first time. Maddox is still up in the Phillies bullpen. So it could be that he's going to get an inning. Perry falls behind Dernier 3-0.
That 5th inning was a good inning for Howe, and probably a good one for him to take a shower on. Probably his best inning in terms of the stuff he had and getting it over.
Dernier thought that pitch was inside. It caught the corner. According to Tata, 3-1. That one is inside. Bobby Dernier has a leadoff walk in the 6th. Only the 2nd Philly batter walked tonight.
That's why he didn't get the 3rd. On stayed with a little slider. Look out.
Bobby D, that's as good as he can dance.
By the way, the Phillies are swinging the bats tonight.
Smitty sends a ground ball to Dunston. to second, and the Cubs get an out there. Dernier goes to third base. Smitty's safe at first on the fielder's choice. Safe, and a run scores. Run number 11 crosses the plate. Dunston did about all he could do. That's a base hit for James, and Chris's first RBI of the year.
I can't figure out here why Dunston didn't gun the ball low. He was set. I don't know, maybe he has a sore arm. Didn't want to make that hard throw, but James hustled it into an infield single and an RBI.
And now one run, 2 hits, and 2 men left on base. We go to the bottom half of this.
8 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the third period. Buck dealt around by Felix, along to get it to Stevens. Had to pull it away from Dave Poulin's reach. Then back up the wing. It's brought on by Courtnall. Courtnall angles out in front. It comes to Cicerelli around in front. He couldn't get it by Hextall. Rebound backhanded toward the goal by Hunter. Still they scrap for it, and it comes back off Courtnall. Courtnall trying to outduel Kartner. Gets it back to Felix. Over to Stevens. Stevens finesses across, and Cicerelli just holds. Watched by Samuelson. Stevens drive. Went wide. And maybe getting a piece of it with the pad. That time was Hextall. Still a
cheer about tonight. The Phillies leading this one 12-4 as we move to the bottom of the ninth.
Hextall seems to be underneath the right knee. Maybe it's a cramp. The upper leg.
Maybe it's a rest period. You never know. You stall any way you can to make sure that your key people are available with 1 minute and 42 seconds.
Maddox fields. Devon Hayes, and that'll end the ball game. The Phillies win by a score of 12-4 for the Cubs in the ninth. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 left. 12-4 final Phils. The Phils bang out 14 hits, and Nick Leva, in his first year as manager of the Phils, has a W under his belt. Here's Nick Leva, Darrell Knowles.
On a night like this.
Steve Bedrosian and the Rock giving him a little National Football League treatment for his first win. There's a lot more life in that dugout this year, it certainly seems. And Mike Maddox, an outstanding job in 4 innings, gaining a save as the Phils won it by a score of 12-4. Homers from Mike Schmidt and from Ron Jones.
2-on-1. Ridley moving in. Ridley still controlling, and then it's fought off by Murphy, and it is Miller wristing one, and that one blocked down by Hextall. Boy, you just waited and waited and thought Ridley would pull the trigger sooner or later. He never did. This is Mark Howe. Now with a pass across to Brian Propp, steams it ahead for Acton. Tries to penetrate the defense. In comes Tim Kerr. Kerr centers, and Peters is able to hold and will get a face-off with 50 seconds to under, not because of anything that the Flyers in particular have done. They had a 3-on-2 that broke down when they just tried too many passes, and then this one a moment ago.
You bet.
Now it is dropped right near Peters, who steps behind, and Peters lost one high to the glass, skips back over near Kartner. Oh, and a hard check thrown across the way by Ron Sutter on Wickenheiser. Wickenheiser still trying to clear, and it's poked back out to center ice. Mark Howe will have to go back to get it in the last 30 seconds of regulation time. Howe's pass comes off the boards for Sutter, tips it ahead to Propp, then on to Terry Kartner. Lofts one to the corner. Back to play it goes Wickenheiser. Wickenheiser forces one off the wall. Across it comes to Gould, and Gould turns it back down. You see the time remaining as Brian Propp turns it back across to Murphy. Has Howe moving. Gord Murphy, the rookie defenseman, lofts one back into the zone off the glass. It skips over to Sutter. Cancels out with Stevens. Out in front, Propp rolled one in on goal, but it is held off by Peters with 5 seconds left. Propp did not get as much wood on the rolling puck as he wanted, and Peters, the angle goaltender.
Thursday at Joe Louis Arena. Chicago's Dwayne Sutter scored nearly 15 minutes into overtime as the Blackhawks beat Detroit 5-4 to even their Norris series at 1 game apiece. Rick Mahar scored 5 minutes into overtime to give St. Louis a 2-0 series lead over Minnesota. At the Igloo, the Pens took a 2-0 series lead. Rob Brown scored a goal as the Pens routed the Rangers 7-4. Another Patrick matchup, the Flyers' Brian Propp scored with 51 seconds left in regulation as Philadelphia evened its series with Washington with a 3-2 win over the Caps. In the Adams, Bobby Carpenter tallied the game winner in the third as Boston dumped Buffalo, evening their best of 7 at 1 apiece. The Canadiens moved to a 2-0 series edge, beating the Whalers. The Calgary Flames, after losing Game 1, coming back in Game 2 against the Vancouver Canucks. And the series with the most attention.
Fans have their fill of Phil Esposito. Now, he fired their head coach recently. Michel Bergeron took the job himself. Tonight, another strange decision. He started the rookie Mike Richter in goal. He gave up 3 goals in the first period. Rangers lose 4-3. They're out in 4 straight. Chris Nyland upset. But Esposito defends his decision to become the head coach. Listen to Phil tonight.
I did what I believed was right for this team and this organization, and I will not anymore talk about it. End, over, period, finito.
And finito for his team. On the scoreboard, Boston over Buffalo. They lead 3-1. Montreal sweeps Hartford. Chicago is leading 3-1 in the third. Minnesota wins to stay alive. Edmonton over L.A. Oilers up 3-1. Vancouver up 1-0, that in the first. Now, Bruce Ruffin's sinker wasn't sinking. He loaded him up in the first inning, and Jose Oquendo with a 2-out double. 2-0 St. Louis. Oquendo driving in 4 runs today. Also driving in 4 was Pedro Guerrero. This double is part of the Cards' 19-hit attack today. They scored a record for visiting teams at Veterans Stadium. They scored 15 runs. Guerrero also had this home run here. St. Louis wins it 15-3. But Phillies manager Nick Leva says, yes, we were hammered. That's the way it goes.
They came out swinging the bats. You know, they got 19 hits. We didn't fool them. They got that type of club, though, that, you know, they get the count in their favor. They go to hacking, so we just didn't pitch ahead.
Faldo sank this beautiful 25-foot birdie putt to win the tournament. 31-year-old Britt knows what it's like to lose in a playoff. He finished second to Curtis Strange in the 1988 U.S. Open. So from that pain to Sundays.
Yeah, ecstasy. That's the. Thank you, sir. Good on my adjectives. No, it was a dream. You know, you dream it's going to happen, and then when it does, right in front of your eyes, can't believe it.
Moving to baseball, the San Diego Padres on Sunday turned their first triple play since 1983. It happened in the 8th inning against Houston. Ken Caminiti hit a ground ball to third baseman Luis Salazar, down to second for 1, and back to Jack Clark for the double play. But Kevin Bass, who had been on second, tried to sneak home, but he was thrown out as Clark hit Mark Parent to complete the triple play. The Padres won the game 5-4. Elsewhere in the National League, it was the Mets by 1 over the Expos. St. Louis beat Philadelphia. The Dodgers went 12 to take care of the Braves. It was the Giants over the Reds, and Chicago beat Pittsburgh. Over in the American League, the Cleveland Indians came up with 3 runs in the 4th inning and went on to beat the slumping New York Yankees 4-3. It marked the first time the Tribe had swept the Yankees in New York since 1966. So after winning that opening day, the Yankees have now dropped 5 straight. Cleveland, meanwhile, improves to 4-1. In other action, the Milwaukee-Detroit game was postponed because of cold weather. Baltimore clobbered Minnesota. It was Boston over Kansas City.
On the line at the Capitol Center, and they take it tonight to go up 3-2. Let's go to the highlights. The Capitals would get on the board first in this hockey game. Bob Rouse on the rebound will beat Ron Hextall 1-0. But only 21 seconds later in the first period, the Flyers tied it. Rick Tocchet. The game also tied at 2-2, 3-3, and 4-4 entering the third. Down 5-4 in the third, Brian Propp finds the puck and ties it right there. Then Propper will have the perfect setup. Watch him go to Pelle Eklund, and it is 6-5. That was the game winner. Coming up, the first of 2 insurance goals. Nifty move by Shell Samuelson, 7-5. Down 2 goals, the Caps pull the goalie, and you won't believe what happens. Ron Hextall will shoot coast to coast. The first goal by a goaltender in Stanley Cup playoff history. He'd done it in the regular season before against the Bruins. but tonight he makes Stanley Cup playoff history. Flyers win 8-5, up 3 games to 2. They can win it Thursday night at the Spectrum. As we watch the puck go in, let's savor it live right now with the man of the hour, Ron Hextall, with our Scotty Palmer.
Don, I have just been told that Ron Hextall is tied for the league playoff lead in shorthanded goals. Congratulations, Hexy.
Thanks, Scotty.
It was a heck of a goal. Can you tell me about it a little bit?
Well, I saw Pete go on the bench. He's about halfway to the bench, and then I looked and Steven's just going to dump it in. So I said, well, you know, if I get a chance here, I'm gonna go for it, because we're shorthanded for one thing, so there's going to be no icing call, and plus to give us a bit more of a padded lead, because we were shorthanded. If they get a goal, then they get 40 seconds or 50 seconds left with a 1-goal lead. So, you know, I wanted to put it in, but as long as I got it out of the zone was first, and I just figured I'll get some height on it and I'll put it at the net, and hopefully it'll go in.
The goal is nice, Hexy, but I know the win is more important to you.
Well, it certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. The win is number one, no doubt about it. The goal is something that you know, guys are excited about, and you know, it hopefully can build a little bit of morale and help our guys a bit there. But you know, the win is number one, but we can't get too high right now. We're going back to the Spectrum, and we can't be cozy going in there, because these guys are going to come out and play tough against us. So we got to go in the Spectrum with a positive attitude yet, not cozy and not think we've won anything, because we really haven't won anything yet.
Hexy, congratulations again, both on the goal and the win.
Thanks, Scotty.
You know how tough the media is here, Don. One of the questions they asked Ron was, how long has it been between goals? You ever go that long before? Well, he got it tonight. I'm Scott Palmer, Channel 6 Action News, live with Ron Hextall and the Flyers in Landover, Maryland.
Quite a night there. Elsewhere in the playoffs, Boston eliminates Buffalo. Detroit is still alive. St. Louis trying to eliminate Minnesota. Sixers on the road tonight in Ohio. Ron Harper outside there for the Cavaliers. Then Larry Nance, a surprise starter with a bad ankle. He had 20, though, tonight. But the Sixers rally. Mike Jaminski, he had a big night. 23, the same as Charles Barkley. Sixers on a veteran move by rookie Hersey Hawkins tied it at 86, but here comes Cleveland on the fast break, and they just pulled it out 92-90. Phillies really cranked up the offense, but this time, instead of Von Hayes, the key was Steve Ontiveros. Ontiveros had a second straight very effective outing on the mound. He pitched shutout baseball over 7 innings. Phillies were already up 1-0 when Darren Dalton will double the advantage 2-0. But then Steve Ontiveros, with the bases loaded, clears the bases with a 3-run double. 5-0 for the Phillies. As 3-run score. Ontiveros over from the American League, where he did not hit due to the DH. He'd score on the Von Hayes sacrifice fly. It ended 6-2. Did Ontiveros see Coach Larry Bowa's stop sign as he came into second base?
No idea. I saw nothing. In fact, I missed the second base, you know, so everything was going about 100 miles an hour, and it's just, you know, I didn't even know I cleared the bases. It was like, wow.
Steve Ontiveros on the scoreboard. The Cubs won this afternoon. The Mets continue to have problems. Houston over Cincinnati. Speaking of problems.
Off the face-off, Sutter got it. A bump, though, and in to get it is Kelly Miller. Denied by Howe. Puck forced along, though, and turning with it is Gustafson. Moves in front and shot one off Hextall wide. Rebound, they poke away at it, and Hextall apparently has it in the goal crease in a stoppage with 44 seconds to go. 42 seconds to go as Hatcher able to keep it in. Spun by Rick Tocchet. Tocchet tries to nudge to Poulin. Still a second effort by Tocchet. Puck along to Sutter, and he sends it back down. There'll be an icing call as back to get this is Dave Christian. Another face-off will be readied near Hextall with, you see the number, 29 seconds to go. They're set. Puck comes toward Courtnall. Flipped one that bounced back. Pavonka shot snapped out of the air and held by Hextall with 24 seconds to go. How dramatic is this thing going to get? Another big face-off. The two feisty junkyard dogs to go at it, Hunter and Sutter, and Gustafson step by out in front. Oh, and a backhander. Rebound, and the net has been dislodged. Pavonka had a try at it, went for the backhand, and then with all of the humanity around the net, it became dislodged, and we have 19 seconds to go. Off this face-off, Gustafson reaches, shovels one that's turned aside by Hextall. 14 seconds to go. Ron Sutter is up with it and throws it back down. Turning after it, Tocchet and Courtnall. This one is all done but the shouting, so we'll hear some of the shouting. Flyer, Pete Peters. As you see, the Flyers hierarchy, Ed Snyder, Jay Snyder, and their wives. Pete Peters was the first one to come to center ice and wait to shake hands with the men who wear the colors of his original team. This is a time of a lot of quiet. Occasionally something is said, but you don't see too much of it. And then the real emotion comes as soon as the line ends. Elation for the Flyers and very solemn quiet for the Capitals. There's a couple of fiery guys, Hextall and Francischetti, with some words, and Hextall moves off.
I don't think there's a better feeling in the world. Perhaps one, and that is winning the Stanley Cup. But this is step one for the Flyers. There's a lot of hockey between the end of the regular season and the Stanley Cup. But nothing feels better except winning the season. Ron Hextall, the look of going to the right, and boy, did he pull it back. He had a sharp angle to stick it home. Ron Hextall is the top goalie in the National Hockey League on breakaways against Lemieux. But what a move Mario Lemieux put on him right there to score a shorthanded goal. And the Penguins have closed the gap, and now this game is up in the air again. The Flyers still have a one-goal lead, though.
Mellenby a drive, and that one blocked away by Wendell Young, and the crowd is just really wired here now. Centering pass, and Smith with a shot knocked down by Dineen. Lemieux unassisted at 14:22. Just 3 seconds before the penalty up to Cunningham.
Time tonight. One strike. Two strikes to Dernier. Dernier will be followed by Steve Jeltz. And probably a pinch hitter for Kurt Ford. Juan Samuel has a bat in the dugout.
We're leading 2-1, and in the game they lead it right now 1-0 as Jamie McCune will score for Calgary right here as they are up 1-0 right now in the first period. In the other game in the NHL, Chicago leads St. Louis 5-2 in the third. Blackhawks looking to go up by the margin of 2-1 in that series. Frustrating last night at overtime. They almost scored right here. Brian Propp really had it, but then Pittsburgh holds on and Rob Brown goes to Phil Bourque. Here's your winning play one more time. Pittsburgh wins 4-3, but the Flyers are far from depressed because they say, we played so well last night. But the Eagles will be spending the day drafting and trading. Word we have tonight is that Buddy, after trading 7 picks yesterday for an extra third-round pick, will make another deal, trading a 6th-round pick to get the rights to this guy. Remember Melvin Bratton, who played for Miami in college ball, had a great Fiesta Bowl, but he's a real bruiser. But he's coming off a severe knee injury. He didn't play at all last year. But if he's okay, he could be a steal. But then we heard that about that guy from Ohio State. Remember him? Now, starting off tomorrow's draft will be Dallas selecting a quarterback by the name of Troy Aikman. But in Dallas, Tom Landry has nothing to do on draft day. He was fired as the Cowboys' head coach. He had time to go to a parade today. Actually, he was in the parade. Actually, this is his parade, the Tom Landry Parade. A time to say thanks to Tom for 29 years of football.
You know, it's a great pleasure for me to be here today. And I'm especially thankful for all the wonderful people who made this day probably the most exciting and the most meaningful day of my life.
And here's the best formation. All these guys wearing those Landry hats and I guess lounge chairs as he'll be in retirement. The Tom Landry Parade. Where else but in Dallas? College football Temple had its annual spring game today. Here's a very good freshman running back by the name of Sam Jenkins. Watch him here go the opposite way when he sees that it's not going to go to the left, so he goes to the right. Jenkins is from Mount Holly, New Jersey, and first-year head coach Jerry Burt likes this first-year player as the Cherry team won the game 30-0.
You know, here's a team that is a playoff team, made the wild card last year, and has all these blue chip selections last year and this year. They really ought to make their mark here, shouldn't they?
They got to go defense, Chris. They really have to go defense. It's a situation that they're faced with because they loaded up offensively. They've got to get some help on the defensive side.
All right, let's...
I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. Got my mind set on you. But it's gonna take money. A whole lot of spending money. It's gonna take plenty of money to do it right, child. I got my mind set on you. 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 And this time I know it's real. The feeling that I feel. I know if I put my mind to it, I know that I really can do it. I got my mind set on you. Set on you. I got my mind set on you. Set on you. But it's gonna take money.
3:21 left. Cheeks against Mark Jackson. Hawkins against Wilkins. Fakes him, beats him to the glass, and scores.
I'll tell you what, that was 5-6 times in a row. The Hawk comes off, dishes down to Charles Barkley. Wilkins went for that fake one too often, just left the paint wide open. Hawk took it right in.
Sixers by one, 92-91. Jackson looking, nowhere to go. Finally finds Ewing well outside. He drives on. Kaminsky and a finger roll is good.
That was Patrick Ewing. Now we all lead, 93-92.
93-92, we're on the odd number. Knicks seesaw back into the lead. Cheeks. Hawkins popped out, nothing there as Wilkins defended well. Now the two-man game. Barkley, they clear the side. Charles holds and looks. Charles starts to back in. Here comes the double. Back outside Anderson. They swing it deep at the baseline, right side. Cheeks in and out, no good. Oakley one-hands the rebound.
Offensively, 12 for 19, 24 points.
We are inside of 2 minutes now. Barkley against Oakley. Spins by him into the lane. Dishes. Jaminski jams it home. It's a one-point game again. 95-94. And Darrell's got something else.
Layup game.
Chase, but couldn't get there. Anderson fires baseline, and nothing but net there. Again, a one-point Nick lead, 97-96.
I'll tell you what, you take a look at Patino after Ron Anderson.
Came out against Pittsburgh like they're not ready for vacation. For the pictures, let's go to the Spectrum. I mean, they came out and played like Bobby Clark wishes they'd play all the time. Tim Kerr scored the first two. That right there, the second on a deflection, and it's 2-0 Flyers in the first period, and they're on their way until Randy Cunningworth and Ron Hextall misplays that puck. 2-1, Cunningworth scored again, but with the score 2-1, Derek Smith, watch the score right in front of the net. The Flyers up 3-1. All right, with the score 3-2 after Cunningworth scores, the Penguins help the Flyers out a little bit. Sutter puts it out in front, and Rosbuskas puts it in. Flyers win it tonight. Score 6-2. 76ers were in a playoff game for the first time in 2 seasons tonight. Sixers have played a good game against the Knicks. The Knicks, though, haven't been bad themselves. For the pictures, let's go to Madison Square Garden in New York. A terrific basketball game between the Sixers and the Knicks. Early, Gerald Wilkins with the drive and the hoop. Knicks up by 4. They were leading by 7 in the first period. But Ron Anderson had a terrific first half. How about 18 points the first half? The pass there from Brooks to Anderson, and the Sixers lead by 8 points in the first half. Still in the second quarter. Sixers lead at the half on this pass, and that shot, Barkley missed the foul, but the Sixers up by 2, 51-49. All right, let's go to the third quarter. Sixers take the lead again. Hersey Hawkins with the ball will drive. Boy, that is an expressway to the hoop. And the Sixers up 92-91, but the Knicks have come back. Gerald Wilkins helped. Mark Jackson just hit one. The Knicks are up by 4, 100-96 with seconds left in the basketball game. It's now 102-96 with seconds left in the basketball game. Atlanta over Milwaukee tonight.
Paul Coffey watched by pulling the puck to Lemieux. Doesn't have anything. Gives to Coffey. Zalewski a drive. And that blocked away by Howe. Behind the net still they work, and Stevens tried to get a pass to Cullen, but Howe held Cullen back just enough so that Sutter could clear back down. 30 seconds gone on the power play. Here's Paul Coffey's got a head of steam up. Coffey moves in. He's got Lemieux moving to the left. Gives to Zalewski. Drive blocked away by Reagan. Puck scooped up by Zalewski again. Looks to the front where Stevens is locked up with Howe. Drive by Coffey. Sticked away by Reagan. Cleared back off the boards by Brian Propp. Lemieux steering, and the puck came right across onto Rob Brown. Shook it for Lemieux.
So far, and he's got 2:31 to go to hang on. The Flyers lead 3-1.
Quinn on the draw with Ron Sutter. To get it is Mark Howe, left it behind. Kevin Stevens comes in, tries to center, but that forced away. Stevens again, worked on by Brian Propp, and Samuelson stood up by Cunneyworth, but it is Poulin outletting on to Brian Propp. Crisscrosses along with Sutter. Propp dropping it off the stick of Barrasso, down to the last 2:10. Puck turned along, but off the skates of Zalewski, who went down. It is Ron Sutter there to roll it along to Propp. He pivots away, can't get a centering pass as Zalewski is there. Zarley Zalewski tried to get it to Cunneyworth, but it is dropped back on by Sinisalo. Up with this is Zarley Zalewski. Tries to get away from Sinisalo. Crossing toward him is Derek Smith. Zalewski able to get in deep. Centers one, back checked away by Smith to Sinisalo, and he hurries it back down. Flyers with a 2-goal lead, 100 seconds to go. Puck worked under Airy's stick, and it skipped back down off Dave Poulin. Puck controlled by Howe, banked back down the ice. This will be an icing call, as back to touch up is Dineen. 1:26 to go in period number 3. Lemieux and Coffey are at the back. Quinn with Bork, Stevens and Brown up front. Off the face-off, the puck came towards Samuelson, tripped up but escaped, tried to jam it behind, and it went around to Poulin. Poulin tried to drill it back down, but the net dislodged behind Ken Reggett, and we get another halt to play. Penguins blame Samuelson, and Samuelson raises both arms as if to say no.
You know, we talked earlier about Mario Lemieux being the key face-off guy for the Penguins. Well, Ugriaco has decided to have Mario Lemieux back. At least he did on that last face-off, back on the blue line. That leaves Dan Quinn to take the draw. Ron Sutter won that one. Dan Quinn is not Pittsburgh's best base.
Penguins who will bow out. The puck comes back and nearly stolen by Poulin, but kept by Mario Lemieux. Centers one, and that blocked down by Sutter. Plays the safety, angling it off the boards, and will the billiard shot make it? It trickles wide. Coffey trying to tie up Mellenby, gets back for the icing touch-up. Goal scores for the Flyers, Lemieux for Pittsburgh, and he has the puck now. Tries to throw one in front. Ricocheted off Samuelson. Picked up by Quinn in the final minute of play. Net empty at the other end. Puck tipped back along by Paul Coffey. Duels with Mark Howe. Brown came in, and they sent a shot right in on goal, and getting his stick on it was Ken Reggett. Dropped back along by Bork. Spun back by Samuelson. Phil Bork trying to keep it, but he can't. So the Penguins must go back, and it's dropped back into the Flyers zone. Reggett sets it up, and Mark Howe is there. Howe holding, dumps it back off for Ron Sutter. It escapes for Scott Mellenby, who's in on a breakaway. And this one is history. The Flyers will be going on to Montreal for the next round, as Scott Mellenby has cashed in to make it right now 4-1.
Well, it's only right that Scott Mellenby ended up being the guy with that gaping net in front of him after that play when he was held. He is a guy that has been pretty well.
We're down to the last dozen. Let's just listen. It is all over. The Philadelphia Flyers have defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-3, and tonight here at Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, 4-1. And they come out to mob Ken Reggett, a goaltender who had played in the playoffs for Philadelphia only 39 minutes. And less than 10 hours ago, got word that he was the guy. He faced 40 shots on goal, turned aside 39. Incredible.
And for these Flyers players, a lot of whom had their pride questioned this year, had their determination questioned by all kinds of people, after the up-and-down, topsy-turvy, inconsistent regular season, these guys have gelled. Great leadership, great maturity, and great performances at the right time. What a great performance tonight by Ken Reggett. Mario Lemieux was not able to do it for the Penguins by himself. And the Flyers advance. Only 4 left now. 2 in the East. Montreal and the Flyers. Only 2 left elsewhere, Chicago and Calgary.
The 2 guys who went at it so hard against one another so often, Sutter and Lemieux. The hero of Pittsburgh, Lemieux, and another hero, gallant warrior in this series, and tonight Tom Barrasso, who was only beaten 3 times and kept this from being a further opportunity. As you see the celebrating going on down at the Flyers' end. Further opportunity for the Flyers to enjoy earlier what took them a long time to earn tonight, with a victory of 4-1. Mellenby, Bullard, Poulin, and Prout.
5 Academy Awards. The Deer Hunter is recognized as a masterpiece in filmmaking. The mature subject matter, strong language, and graphic violence contained in this movie may be disturbing and inappropriate for some family members. Viewer discretion is advised. The following is a U.S. special presentation.
Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, John Savage, Meryl Streep, Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. They were ordinary people.
If anything happens, Mike, don't leave me over there. You just don't leave me. You gotta promise me that, Mike.
But war changes ordinary lives.
Go ahead. Mount!
One of the most explicit and emotional films of our time.
Come on, Mickey, come home. Just come home. Home.
And now, part 1 of The Deer Hunter.